such a pretty word, so long was forgotten, now comes to my mind. Written with 9 letters, when they're all together, it's read captivate. Captivate is to love, it is also to share a little bit of the pain that someone has to carry. Captivated, someone said, strong bonds were created. You become responsible for the ones you captivate. By myself in a desert or surrounded by people, I will try to captivate and live close to someone. Captivated, someone said, strong bonds were created. You become responsible for the ones you captivate. There's such a pretty word, so long was forgotten, now comes to my mind. Written with 9 letters, when they're all together, it's read captivate. Captivate is to love, it is also to share a little bit of the pain that someone has to carry. Captivated, someone said, strong bonds were created. You become responsible for the ones you captivate. By myself in a desert or surrounded by people, I will try to captivate and live close to someone. Captivated, someone said, strong bonds were created. You become responsible for the ones you
Hello everyone! Welcome to the 3rd class of our Upskill course on Spiritist Education, from Mommy's Belly to Adulthood. Today, our conversation is about childhood, from around 3 to 4 years old to 11 and 12 years old. And we open our reflection with question 383 of the Spirit's book. What is the point of a spirit experiencing childhood? To which the spirits answer the following. The purpose of incarnation is the improvement of the spirit, and childhood makes a spirit more open to the impressions it receives. This may contribute to its advancement, towards which all those responsible for the child's education and training must contribute. On chapter 7 of the Spirit's book, Infancy, we learn that spirits use the physical life to improve themselves. The weakness of youth renders them more flexible and open to the advice of those whose experience should aid their progress. Andrew Lewis explains that until the age of 7, the spirit goes through a phase of semi-unconsciousness in the fluidic environment of the parents. And that is why we understand this period from 0 to 7 years old to be crucial for learning habits, good manners, school contents, and moral behavior. Still on chapter 7, the spirits tell us that this is how bad predispositions are repressed and fault characters are gradually reformed. This repression and reformation is a God-given duty for parents, a sacred mission for which parents are fully accountable. Childhood is not only useful but indispensable, just like all of God's laws that govern the universe. Repressing bad predispositions and gradually reforming fault characters. This is one important part of parenting and educating, helping these young people to learn to be good. Psychologist Marshall Rosenberg developed a communication process called the nonviolent communication. This process motivates a state of consciousness in which compassion, respect, attention, and empathy prevail among people through communication in 4 stages. Observing. Distance ourselves from the uncomfortable situations we are in so we can think more clearly. Being able to recognize, name, and expose our feelings. When we understand what we are feeling, it becomes easier to deal with the situation. Understanding our needs and assuming responsibilities. Knowing what you want and taking responsibilities for what we did, right or wrong. And verbalizing objectively and positively our needs. So we can even ask for help when we need. Of course, this is a process. Very young children will not be able to go through all the steps, but they can learn. It is important that we help them know and understand their feelings and emotions. Stimulating the nonviolent communication is bringing Jesus closer to us. Remember the second great commandment? Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Do to men whatever you want them to do to you. When we stimulate children to reflect on this idea, treat all men as you would have them treat you, we help them realize that they don't want to be treated badly. And so we are helping them understand they should be good. In our classes, it is important to offer moments in the routine for the children to talk about their feelings, emotions, situations they experience during the week. Talk about behaviors, feelings, and reactions in the light of the Spiritist doctrine. Remembering we can always count on the support of children's mentors, teaching them to pray for their guides, their mentors, and their guardian angels. As Andrew Lewis tells us in the book Missionaries of Light, a spiritual collaborator is assigned to accompany the reincarnation of the spirit until the age of 7 after rebirth, at which time the process of reincarnation will be consolidated. According to Pestalozzi, feelings have the power to awaken the autonomous learning process in children. For him, only love had a saving force, capable of leading men to full moral fulfillment. The educational process must encompass 3 human dimensions, identified with the head, the hand, and the head, which leads to thinking, doing, and feeling. And the final objective of learning should also be a triple formation: intellectual, physical, and moral. All this in order to be able to find freedom and moral autonomy in oneself. And so we can achieve this, we must respect the stages of development that the child goes through. Pay attention to their evolution, their aptitudes and needs according to different ages. In the early 80s, psychologist Howard Gardner concluded through his research that human intelligence is like a jigsaw puzzle made of many pieces. all of the same value and importance. These are characteristics that classify what kind of intelligence each person has, as well as what facilities they bring to our lives. Today we know of 9 intelligences. Naturalistic intelligence is about the ability to be sensitive with living things, like plants and animals, as well as to other features of the natural world, rocks, clouds, and other configurations. The musical intelligence is the ability to discern pitch, rhythm, timbre, and tone. This intelligence enables people to recognize, reproduce, create, and reflect on music, being sensitive listeners. This intelligence is connected with emotions and with the mathematical intelligence. Logical mathematical intelligence is the ability to calculate, quantify, consider hypotheses, and carry out complete mathematical operations. It enables people to use abstract, symbolic thought, and inductive and deductive thinking patterns. Existential intelligence is about sensitivity and capacity to deeply reflect on human existence, such as the meaning of life, why we die, and how did we get here. The interpersonal intelligence is the ability to effectively understand and interact with others in a verbal and non-verbal communication. People with this kind of intelligence are leaders among their peers. They are good at communicating and show empathy with others. The linguistic intelligence is the ability to appreciate and use language to express complex meanings, allowing people to understand the order and meaning of words. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence is the capacity to use a variety of physical skills. It has a good sense of timing and the perfection of skills through mind-body union. Intrapersonal intelligence is the capacity to understand oneself and one's thoughts and feelings, and to use this understanding to plan and direct life. This intelligence involves a self-appreciation and the appreciation of the human condition. And the special intelligence is the capacity to think in 3 dimensions. Core capacities include mental, with an active imagination and creativity. Young people with this intelligence might enjoy mazes, jigsaw puzzles, and drawing. It is fundamental that we understand this idea, so we can offer a variety of entry points for each themes, valuing the different aptitudes each one has. It is also important to keep in mind that beside these different intelligences, we must also stimulate the development of emotional intelligence by providing moments and activities that promote interaction so they can learn things like how to get along well and have interest in others, how to have empathy, have integrity and boundaries, among so many other characteristics. And all this, keeping in mind that we all learn in different ways, and learning should be an active process. William Glasser helps us understand this with his pyramid on how people learn. When we simply just read or listen to the proposed content, we learn about 10 to 20%. Whereas when we do and teach others, when we truly interact, we learn almost 100%. And then we come to a point when we should ask ourselves some questions. How can I recognize each talent, each aptitude, each intelligence? What is a child capable of doing? And then we remember Emmanuel on the book The Counselor, stating that the childhood period is the most serious and the most favorable to the assimilation of educational principles. Up to the age of 7, the spirit is still adapting to the new existence that it has in the world. For Sandra Borba, it is necessary to align a series of attitudes and predispositions. Remembering that to be a Spiritist educator, it is not enough to say that you wish to be one. Goodwill requires a set of initiatives in the sense of becoming closer and closer to the effective accomplishment of the task. She remembers Emmanuel stating that the task of the Spiritist educator is to unite souls with the Lord. And then comes Jean Piaget with the 4 stages of intellectual development. Each of the periods is characterized by the being's best features and underpins the next phase. Everyone goes through all these phases or periods in the same sequence, but the beginning and the end of each one will depend on the biological characteristics of the individual and on emotional and social factors. For Piaget, mental development can be enriched by certain stimuli and with an environment suitable for children. Thus, their growth is benefited in many ways, physically, socially, and even emotionally. We have already talked about the first and second stages on our previous class, the sensory motor stage and the pre-operational stage. On the sensory motor, from 0 to 2 years old approximately, children go through a period of wonderful growth and learning. As they interact with the environment, they often make new discoveries about how the world works. Children not only learn how to move, how to crawl and walk, for example, they also learn a lot about language from the people who interact with them. Lucia Moses says that the Spiritist educator should understand that every methodology comes from a way of conceiving learning, and learning has to be meaningful. So, we need to offer a variety of activities, allowing children to build their own knowledge. Our purpose then is to help in the formation of good beings, people capable of loving, of reaching out, of collaborating with society for the evolution of a happy world. They need to feel loved, welcomed in every aspect of their lives. And although we many times cannot resist their cuteness, we should not speak with them in a baby voice, because this is not helpful for the language acquisition at all. At the pre-operational stage, from 2 to 7 years old, children learn from pretend play, make-believe, but there is still a long way to achieving logic, abstraction, and empathy. And the concrete operational stage, which is observed from 7 to 11 years old, children begin to use logic for communication and reflecting on situations. Their thinking is more organized and logical, yet still very concrete. They begin to use reasoning and hypotheses. Putting all this knowledge together, we reach the understanding of how to create a welcoming environment for our children, valuing their feelings, their needs, and their intelligences. For a classroom to contemplate all of this and much, much more, Walter Oliveira Alves proposes that we use music and other arts, because this helps working intensely with the child's feelings, mainly through art. The musical element, rhythm and melody, can act beneficially in the child's sentimental life, helping the harmonious psychic development. It is also so important that we stimulate the sense of belonging, which is providing spaces for them to participate, to make suggestions, and give opinions, from the arrangement to the furniture to the activities, from the disposal of the materials to the decorations on the wall. This gives them a sense of meaning, of cooperation, of purpose, of being important. And this can be done with creative experiences that make the place more welcoming and comfortable, in addition to favoring the development of the Spiritist being. The environment needs to be familiar and cozy. Promoting creative experiences leads to motivation and learning, and this helps in interaction and disinhibition, since everyone fraternizes and cooperates with each other. They collaborate with social adjustment because, if well-oriented, they value individual resources. They also stimulate the constructive potential naturally, in a pleasant way, leading to interest in the study. After all of these studies, we should then ask ourselves, how do children learn? The content of their Spiritist doctrine about God, about Jesus, must be adapted to their cognitive, psychological, social-cultural, and religious development. In our classrooms, we should have games, toys, and materials spread all around at their reach. And we should also spread posters with pictures and with words, because they are at the age of learning how to read and how to write, and this is very important to help them. We have studied the development stages, the intelligences, and learning processes. And now we want to emphasize that the environment of the Spiritist education needs to be happy. The child needs to be happy there. That said, we must remember that there are no limits to providing a wonderful space. We should not limit our classes to coloring pages, drawing sheets, paper activities with questions to answer, for example. Children learn from each other when they interact. Children learn when they are challenged. Children learn when they have their curiosity stimulated. Learning is an active process. The more hands-on experiences your child has, the more curious and capable they will become. We should help children to be good observers, to learn by actively studying the world around them. Stimulate them to observe the environment, talking to them using sentences just like these ones, for example. Wow, look how beautiful the sky is. Have you noticed how cool our Spiritist Center is? What's in it? What is it like? We must be models of positive behavior and always use positive language. This way, we are going to provide our children a wonderful environment, a beautiful environment that will have everything that they need to grow up being really nice and good people. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it. And in our next class, we're going to study youth. See you there.